Okay, cool. What's up? Thanks for coming.
Hello.
Appreciate you. I know this was a journey to get to this point, and that this is just going
Yes.
to be a between me and you thing. Hopefully, no, I'm probably talk about
Yes.
it because it was pissed me off too much.
You know,
Um,
it's all good. Life happens and life throws the obstacles in the way and says, how you going to manage? But we made it.
right.
We're here.
Yes. Alrighty. So, can you do me a solid for the people who might not know who you is? Tell them who you is and what you
Who
do,
I
and then
is.
we'll get into the nitty gritty because I'm excited. I've been waiting for this for a long time.
Yes. 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 Well, I am Tara, and I describe myself when I introduce myself people now as like the earth, but I live in the clouds. And that's my own little personal branding statement that I've discovered over the years. We met because I lived in San Antonio and started venturing into modeling at that point, and we got connected because of Instagram. And I model, I skate, so I'm a rollerblade ambassador, I am a digital marketer, I am a magical human being, as I describe myself as well.
Love
And
that.
I've got my hand in a lot of different places. I play the piano. I feel like
Oh
there's
yeah.
so many
Same.
facets of me that to all encompass who I am. I started saying a magical human being who is like the earth but lives in the clouds.
Nice. I love that because I feel like I'm the same but different.
Yes, yes, we're dreamers, we're creatives.
Yeah. So like I've noticed like being multi talented and multi like disciplinary
Yeah,
is becoming more common than not.
yeah,
And also like because information is so much easier to get now, I think that's one of the results of it.
yeah,
It's like, oh, okay, so if I'm interested in whatever, I can literally learn everything on it.
yes,
Which back then it was only like little snippets of what you can figure out on your own, and like, since I don't
yeah,
really care about this, yeah,
yes. I've noticed
because
that too. One of my friends says that he is a generalist and not a specialist. And I love that description. I think that, as you're saying, the trend you're finding is more people are dipping their toe in kind of to a lot of different little buckets. And sometimes those waters go deeper. But for myself, I don't think any bucket has gone focused for me to become a specialist in one very specific area besides maybe digital marketing, because that's what I do for my living. So I do spend a lot of time doing that. But yeah, a lot of
yeah,
little different buckets there.
yeah. So I have, I guess, two questions in mind, but the first one I want to ask is, what got you into marketing? Like, how did you decide this is what I want to do?
Yeah, yeah. So that happened because I was actually doing nonprofit work, and my background has been in event fundraising and fundraising for nonprofits through grassroots marketing efforts. And so I started to see marketing at that point. But then when I got let go during COVID from that job, I ended
Mm.
up starting to skate. And so when I started to skate, I started to document myself and share that journey. Now, I went to school and I studied hospitality. And so I didn't really know how that was going to play into things. But my former boss for my job in San Antonio, she had followed me on Instagram and quite literally slid in my DMs and said, "Hey, do you want to get together and have a cup of coffee?" And so I said, "Sure, let's catch up." But we had worked together because we were beneficiaries of this event when I was working for the nonprofit, and we stayed connected. And so we met for coffee, and she said, "I love the way that you tell a story. I love the way that you communicate. Do you want to do our marketing here?" And I looked at her and I said, "Well, I mean, I didn't study this. I didn't go to school for marketing." And she said, "I don't care. I just love the way that you tell a story, and I want to have that energy behind what we're doing." So that was back in 2021 was when that role officially began. And then from that point, have stayed in the hospitality marketing world, and I do that for my full time position is doing digital marketing and communications. It's a reconnecting, sorry, but yes,
Yeah.
it's been a journey. It's been something that just came into my life. I've always been a storyteller. I've always done journalism in high school and making videos ever since I've been a little kid and writing and dreaming, and it's always been there. I just didn't realize how it was going to play out fully as a marketer.
Yeah.
It,
Okay.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
So, it cut off on my end for a second. Uh,
yeah.
from what I remember, Riverside should be recording your thing on its end. So I
Okay,
hope whenever I get it back, it should be fine.
okay,
We'll see.
okay.
But I didn't catch who you had a cup of coffee with. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So my former boss at the
Mm.
resort that I worked at in San Antonio, she is the one who reached out through Instagram and said, "Hey, let's get together, let's have a cup of coffee, and
Okay.
let's see about you coming here to do our work and tell our story." So that was that was how things ended up coming to
Okay.
the fruition of the point of, okay, I am an affirmed marketer now. I know that what I'm doing is not just, I mean, I'm creating, but it has true value behind it. And that was the first chance that I got to see that happen.
Okay. So I'm curious. So you said you don't have like any traditional like schooling or background in marketing.
Yeah.
Um so I well, let me ask you this. Do you feel that there's a dif difference between content creator and digital marketer?
Yes. Huge. Huge. And I consider myself to be both. And I think there is a very clear distinction between someone who is just a content creator and someone who is focusing on the digital understanding of what's happening with that content. So, content
Okay.
creation to me is, yes, a totally different job that someone can have. Now, does that mean that that job stands alone all the time and that people who are doing content creation never do digital marketing or vice versa? You see that a lot of places, especially in the corporate world, are looking for someone who can do all of these things. And I wear a lot of different hats with what I do in my full time position. So I'm a digital marketer and I'm studying trends on how is our website performing and SEO optimization and looking at paid search and looking at how can we strategize to get our website to pop up first when people are going in and they are typing in what's the criteria for what their stay is going to look like. And so using those keywords and funneling into that and all of the different channels that you can market through digitally and how you can get your content out there in front of people is what digital marketing is. And I also create a lot of the times the content that we're funneling into that cycle and that system. So
Mm,
it's
mm,
it's hard to be both at times because as a
yeah.
creative,
Oh,
we feel very inspired to just go with the flow. And I like to talk about my sign, and I'm a Pisces too. And Pisces are very, we're water, and we're very go with the flow, and we don't like to necessarily always have a very strict plan. But when it comes to digital marketing, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have an understanding of what is trending, what is happening for getting people to your final platform, whether it's a website or it's your Instagram, it's your podcast. It's a unique relationship between the two, but they are not the same thing for sure.
yeah. Okay. So I asked it that way purposefully because the first thought that came to my head is like, so, um, do you, well, before I go there, is like, let's say somebody who is going to school to marketing here's what you just said, like, oh, it's because like I don't even know marketing, but like they just like the videos that I made, and then like I got ended up getting this job. I'm assuming for somebody who is going to school for marketing is like, well, here I am going to school,
Yeah,
and like it could sound like, well, what's the difference between content creation and marketing?
yeah,
So
yeah.
then like because like what a lot of people a lot of people mistake,
Hmm.
like innocently mistake content creation as like, oh, I'm making content so I am marketing,
Yeah, yeah,
or they watch one YouTube video on SEO. Oh, now I understand SEO. Now I can be a
yeah.
marketer for other people and do their SEO. I was like, but there's
Yeah,
so much that goes into it. Like,
so
I can't even remember
much.
the name. I think it's like backlogging or backtracking or something like that. I forgot the actual name for it, but there's so many different things
Huh?
than just
Huh?
knowing keywords to like
Right,
put on the blog.
right,
Um,
right.
so,
It's a very dedicated understanding that I had to learn myself when I walked in. Like you're saying, I didn't study marketing and advertising, but I studied hospitality, and I was in that school where there's that element of marketing in it. And so what you're saying, that content creating is marketing, anything is marketing. We're always constantly marketing something, whether we're consciously
true,
aware of it or we're unconscious of it. But when you
true.
the umbrella statement of marketing is a large one, and then there's those different facets of how does that funnel into what marketing is. But in terms of, yeah, when I understood as a content creator, and I really didn't even consider myself to be a true content creator at that point. I was just a sad human being trying to share my difficulties and relate to people, but it came off in a way that was storytelling. And she saw that vision and the connectivity of, oh, even though she doesn't know what actually is going to happen in this position, in this role, with learning how to optimize, learning how to strategize, and go that very data driven route. You can teach someone that, but you can't teach someone that spark and that creativity that she saw. So I
Hmm.
was very grateful, and of course there's moments that I sit there and I'm like, yeah, I know people have studied this and spent years and thousands of dollars of their life studying something that I feel like I got a different pathway into. But I mean, I still did spend thousands and thousands of dollars on 2 degrees, and I mean, it's
Right.
just we learn in different ways, and we end up where we're supposed to be. And I feel very gracious and grateful that someone took a chance on me and decided, hey, maybe you really can do this. And yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. So have you heard of Seth Godin?
No, Seth Godin.
Yeah. So he's like renowned as like the best marketer out there. Like
You
he's
learn
quoted in
something new
every
every day.
marketing thing. He's also very famous for writing a blog post every single day.
Oh, okay, okay.
I went to his blog and I saw the cheat code because he'll sometimes treat it like a tweet. Like
Mm.
he'll put one liner. So he's not wrong. Like
Uh
he
huh.
does blog every day, but
Uh
like
huh.
I think is it the one? So there's this book right there, this red one.
Yeah.
So it's titled "All Marketers Are Liars," but then it's scratched out, and all marketers are storytellers, giving the
Ah.
idea and the notion that like that's kind of in a nutshell what marketing is telling the story of the product, of the
Yeah.
feeling, of the brand, or all that, right? So like
Yeah.
that's interesting that you were saying like storytelling and like how that is like the main
That's so
thing.
funny. I, I did
Yeah.
not know. Wow. Yes, I'm gonna have to check that book out for sure.
Let me see. There we go. All marketers
Huh.
are storytellers. So he scratched it out and put
Huh.
storytellers instead.
I
But
love that.
yeah,
I love a good book recommendation. And that's
yes,
true.
check
I
this one
mean,
out.
I think my love of marketing and the storytelling, as you talk about someone who you see as the greatest marketer, or maybe is like more widely known as one of the greatest marketers, I think Taylor Swift is one of the greatest marketers of all time, and that's been
Yeah.
my example. And we all kind of find, like I said, our route that makes sense for us. And watching Taylor since 2006 market herself and advocate for herself, I
Yeah.
saw that example in marketing, and I said, oh, well, that's quite possible. No one knows your story better than you, and
Right. Yeah.
storytelling is the point. And then learning how to adapt that though, and get the vision for someone else's story, and really hear what's their identity, what do they want to share with the world, and learning how to translate that message is I mean, it's language, it's learning
Hmm.
how to input output, and in a way that is effective and efficient and engaging. And it's a challenge sometimes, for sure. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. So I have a question for you. So
Yeah.
let's pretend that I'm brand new at personal brand.
Okay.
And I'm like, hey, I want to market. I'm trying to not be too general, but let's say I want to market my creative service,
Okay.
whether it be photography, graphic design, web design, whatever, right? I think it's still safe to put creative.
Yeah.
What do you think is something I should start with, or what's a good route to go to
Yeah.
start uh, marketing myself as a personal brand? Like, is there something
Yeah.
that you did that you started you wish you would have done better?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, what would you tell me if I was like brand new into it?
Yeah. So, of course, figuring out your why is always the first step. Why are you doing this? What is your intent of wanting to share your graphic design? Or what is your intent of wanting to share your photography? Is it to create for others? Is it to create for yourself? Is a big question that you want to start with too. And funneling that into, okay, if I know what my why is, then I know how I can show up authentically. And so
Mm-hmm.
for me, that's the biggest first step. I know that perhaps, saying, oh, create a portfolio, create a website, like do the
Yeah.
standard steps of have an Instagram or have a Dropbox at least to send to people and show people what your story is. But a lot of the times you can tell, because I get in my full time job, I get requests all the time from people who are looking to collaborate and looking to work with what I'm working for. And I see clearly from the beginning someone who knows what their purpose is and what their why is. And if
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that connection of why are you showing up with your photography? Why are you showing up with your videography?
Mm-hmm.
What is the story that you want to tell? I can tell very clearly when someone just wants something for free. It's a very clear difference after training yourself to understand. And so learning how to articulate that story, what is your end goal? What is your vision? For me, again, working in both aspects of being the content creator and the person
Mm-hmm.
that is working with brands, and being the person who is navigating the brand, it's an interesting journey to get both sides and both angles of it. And if people don't know in both cases what is your why, and you don't have that ground to stand on, so I my therapist always tells me write things down, even if it's just a little notepad and it's just a book right by your desk. It doesn't have to be a very formalized document, but start by writing. Maybe is it 5 words that resonate with you and your brand's vision, or your personal brand's vision? What do you want to evoke out of people? Is it for me, it's helping. I want to just live a life that inspires others and helps others get through their own difficulties and mental health issues. I'm very open about my struggles with my anxiety, and I talk a lot about going to my therapist. And it was, I want to be authentic. I want to show up in a way that teaches people how to be vulnerable, be open about what life really looks like. I talk about it on my YouTube channel, Behind the Blades, and I'm very open to sharing digitally. My why is to be there for you as I'm being there for myself and helping you. So, again,
Mhm.
that can get more specific as you're looking to work with a brand. Well, how can I help you as a brand? And how can you as a brand help me? And just making sure that those questions are always very clearly articulated.
Okay, yeah, I like that
Yeah.
because yeah, I know I started a little broad, but like I'm assuming most people want to either get into design or anything to have their own small business. So let's say, I guess designers kind of not have to, but for the most part, look for other
Yeah.
businesses. It's very B2B.
Yeah.
And then photography is both B2B, B2C.
Yeah.
Um, or
Yeah.
you could pick one. So like, so if my intention was to be B2B to help other businesses, other brands and things like that, let's
Uh-huh.
say that is how can I find my why that other businesses would care about? Is that even a thing? Is that even possible?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I work primarily from business to consumer, so it's
Hmm.
a different aspect in that I see every day, but I do still think it comes back to that same sentiment as to what is my product or service that can fill in that gap for you as your product or service, that what is that out of the box thinking. And I did work briefly doing marketing consulting for a firm, an advertising agency in San Antonio, and did a little work approaching other businesses and going, hey, here's this business to do your marketing, this agency, and here's where we see the gap is and what you may need. And so doing
Hmm.
research, reconnaissance, and really understanding a brand, you have to put in that intentional time and effort to study someone else's digital communication and their behavior online, and take that in comparison and look at what are other people doing in your competitive market, and where are they exceeding a little bit better than you may not be tapping into. Is there a channel that you're not on that really makes sense for your brand? Is there something that you can be strategizing better on based on your target market and your demographic? It's not, everyone always asks, like, well, I should just be on TikTok. No, like, business to
Yeah.
business, that's not, and sometimes it works for sure. I'm not saying it's not the case, because clearly many businesses are on TikTok and marketing to other businesses, but the end all be all answer is not TikTok. It's not just
Right.
slap it up there and you get that. It's sometimes LinkedIn, and sometimes people question, like, is LinkedIn still a thing? Yeah, LinkedIn's still huge. And maybe that makes better sense for your business being on that platform than it does to invest wasteful time and energy into a very content saturated market where people are doing creative, like, dancing videos and just silly videos that the algorithm will put you with who's interested, but the overall sentiment of TikTok, for example, for businesses to businesses is, I wouldn't strategize there. I would look at your
Right.
your online paid ads. I would look at different funnels to where businesses are looking for solutions, and you're not, people are looking for solutions on TikTok for how can I clean my kitchen counter easier and more efficiently, like, and then
Right.
maybe the product that feeds in and you find that, then there's clues everywhere. I'm not saying, again, that one channel is or isn't going to work. Maybe it's a combination of things, but for businesses going into marketing, you do have to take the time to study and take the time to read and take the time to strategize about where is my competition sitting, or if I am trying to pitch to someone to sign me
Mm.
on and help them, where's their competition sitting and how can you insert yourself into that solution for them in that channel there.
Yeah. I love that you said that because it's hard, not hard, I guess I don't do it enough or well enough to
Yeah.
explain to people like, sure, yes, there's the generalist advice of like be everywhere or like business and marketing 101, be where the people are at. But
Yeah.
like most, it's like it's how you said it. Most like at least decision makers, CEOs are not looking for their next person to hire on TikTok. They're looking to get away
Yeah.
and to just like watch bullshit videos. So
Yeah.
like so
Yeah.
it doesn't really make sense for, let's say me, I'm trying to, let's pretend I don't remember if I told you, but like I'm going to school right now for graphic design and
Yeah.
bachelor's in graphic, minor in marketing.
Okay.
And so like uh I'm trying to think also like a designer too. So I'm
Uh-huh.
thinking, okay, let's say my thing is to do a rebrand for a business.
Uh-huh.
And most businesses are not looking for a graphic designer on TikTok.
No.
They're only graphic designers are looking for graphic design things on
Yeah.
TikTok. So
Yeah.
if graphic designers were my market, then yes, TikTok all the way because they're looking for tips and quick whatever, right? But
Yeah.
the people who are looking to hire are
Yeah.
more than likely going to be on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And that's
I
why
still
recently I've been
yeah.
going on there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great place to share your portfolio, to share your work in a way that's very, people are on there to do business. People are there to find that information. I still think Instagram is a very good space
Yeah.
still because I have seen, and it just popped into my head, which is kind of a silly example. And I think she is on both TikTok and on Instagram, so I could actually just be eating my words right now. But there was this girl during COVID. She was creating terrible NFL logos. Did you see that
Wow.
trend?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And so that's a very anomaly example of something where someone was just creating. But I do believe that she is a graphic designer full time, I'm pretty sure. And so someone being silly and just like being creative, and it turned into this opportunity for her. And I do know that she started creating more bad logos for the NFL. But
Are you talking about the girl that has like blonde hair and she's kind of like monotone?
yes,
She
yes.
doesn't do graphic design.
I thought she was a full time graphic designer. She's
Nope.
not. Huh.
It's all she just did one parody thing,
Yeah, yeah. And then
and
that just took off.
I forgot what her major actually is and what she actually does. I saw a whole video on her because I was
Huh.
curious too, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Huh, like all your designs are shit. Let me see if you actually have good stuff." And like, nope, it's just like this one big like parody channel
Huh.
is what she's doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she's not a graphic
Yeah.
designer. But it's
I,
funny because like I think on TikTok she only has one person. No, Microsoft is only following one person on
huh.
TikTok, and it's her.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. I mean,
but no,
it goes back to anything is possible. And there are these rules and algorithms and things that you can do to put yourself out there, and there are better platforms to put your information out there, and there are strategies to communicate. But I do believe
yeah,
at the end of the day, it is all about, it's going back to that why and that authenticity that I talked about. And then when you have something that is just bursting with that creative energy that's meant to be seen, you as a graphic designer, even if you're going on, you are creating content and you're sharing your process of how you're creating something or what you're doing, all of those little nuggets along the way build this bridge to the end result being business coming into your life because of you sharing. So yeah, marketing, like you said, it's being everywhere, it's putting it everywhere, and sometimes there's better decisions you can make about where you're communicating that information, but it's a result of just allowing your creativity to flow, and not trying to put too many limitations on your creativity, and just being yourself, and the opportunities will come. Absolutely.
yeah. I love that
Yeah.
you said that because I'm guilty of it too. Sometimes I have to remind myself, but everybody just posts the final result
Yeah.
and don't realize a lot of people truly like to see the effort that was put into it. Like, oh
Yeah.
wow, it started from this little like sketch and now it's like this full like logo.
Yeah.
Like people
Yeah.
love to see that, and because it also shows what you can do versus like, hey, look at the final shiny result.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
love that you said that because that's I'm guilty of it too. Like I keep forgetting every now and then to do behind the scenes because at least with the photography side, I'm so in it.
Yeah.
I forget to like put the camera on. I'm like, I think
For
at the end
you.
of it, I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. People
yeah,
want to know your story. That's what sells the business. That's what sold myself to end up working with Rollerblade was I just put myself out there and just I always wanted to say, here I am, here's what I'm about, here's what I love, here's that behind the scenes, here's that realness, and
yeah,
people see that and they go, ah, you're a real human.
right,
You know, here's you,
yeah.
you have value, your story deserves to be heard and seen. Yeah,
And I love that you
absolutely.
said story because I've been kind of bullish on story recently for like the past 2 years. I've just been focused. This whole row is branding and story and copywriting.
Okay.
Um, so like I have these are like all of this right here is branding.
Wow.
From this purple one to here is all copywriting, writing, and storytelling. So I've been
Wow.
like on a journey right now on that because
Yeah.
once I realized how important story is, it's like what I my example now is like imagine a song with no story, it would just be noise
Right.
at the end of the day. Or a
Right.
movie with no story would just be moving pictures. There'd be nothing going on. So like
Yeah.
story is king. Without story, I don't
Yeah.
think you have content.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's yeah.
The why.
So
It all goes back to
yeah,
the why. Yes.
yeah. And it's hard. I'm gonna start slowly teaching more storytelling because I also hate not hate, but it's like everybody says that, but nobody tells you how.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, tell your story. Well, okay. Like,
Yeah.
back in
Yeah.
1889, I was bored. Like,
It's
how
like,
far do I
okay.
go? Like,
Yeah.
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 But so to kind
Yeah.
of land the plane here a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, so what my takeaway was like, if I'm starting brand new from scratch, to
Yeah.
figure out my why first, why I'm doing what I'm doing and who I'm doing it for.
Yeah.
What story do I want to tell, whether it be
Yeah.
mine or somebody else's? I think is that
Yeah.
fair to say what you were saying?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I know again there's a lot more technical steps that I could have given in terms of what platforms to use and what programs and what suites do I use and what equipment. Like sure, that's all information that people I like for people to decide for themselves. I can recommend what I use, but for me, step one, if you are brand new into this thing and you are dipping your toe in and you're going, I'm doing this, have the clear understanding of the why first. Have something written down that is your story. And like you said, understand how do you tell that story, study these things and learn. Storytelling is an art, and I say all the time that people have words but they don't know how to communicate. And so it's learning in different aspects of communication and branding, and it's also I study a lot of psychology. I read a lot of psychology books because if you don't understand human behavior, then how are you going to communicate that human behavior? Yeah.
I'm
Also
gonna see if I can do this
another
while looking.
yes. Yes.
Oh God! Wait, damn it. Okay, have you heard
Where
of
is
this
it?
one?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
this she thick. I'm not ready for it
Be
yet,
thick.
but like with two C's.
I love that.
But
I
this
love that.
is the one book that I keep hearing almost every marketer or every content creator storyteller talk about and reference is this guy right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Influence, the psychology of persuasion, like what uh, uh, influences people to either buy or do things or whatever. Because if
Yeah.
you have influence, you you know, I don't want to say control. I mean, you control your narrative.
Yeah.
It's a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting how you said that because it's so true. And then this is one of the books that like everybody references and talks about.
Yeah.
Um,
You really do
I haven't
have a
gotten.
whole library.
I got anything. You want something on pricing, or like chess?
Wow, look
Oh,
at
can you see
that.
the ghost
And the
right
ghost.
there?
The
It's
little
tiny, but it's
tiny
there.
ghost. I
No,
do
I
see the
went away,
tiny
but it was right
ghost.
there.
Yes.
uh, But
Oh,
okay, yeah. And
it's
then I like how you said to write like words also of like your keywords, like I think it's up to 5, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, of what like
yeah.
you're about.
Going through
Um
those exercises and really understanding what is that loop? What are all of those ties that form that circle of the story for yourself? And if you just are shooting darts at a board and going, well, I hope it lands, like for me,
yeah.
you need to know at least what do the darts say that you're picking up and where are you trying to shoot it to? Does it say authentic? Does it say humorous? What is the tone of your marketing? What's the tone of your business? Do you want to be like, everyone always uses this example, Wendy's being the snarky, sarcastic voice that got them so much traction and so much business on Twitter. And then you
Yeah,
saw other
yeah.
brands start to be playful with that. And so there's a lot of different ways to play with it. You get to decide how you want to show up and what you think is going to resonate with your audience. There's no
It's
one
true.
size fits all solution to marketing because there's so many ways that it can be done. But if you don't know and you don't see it right in front of you, what is your why? What is your words? What is all of that connected together saying? You can't move forward. You can't know
Right.
where you're marching to. Yeah. You have to write it
Oh
down.
yeah.
Have to write it down.
Exactly.
Yes, yes.
Well, I appreciate you for letting me pick your brain. We need
Yeah,
to do this again.
yeah,
Hopefully, I can steal more of your time next time,
yes,
because
yes.
I
We
think I've
made it
stolen
through.
enough. But yeah, I like everything that you said about how basically kind of setting your intention. What's the point of what you're doing? Is that
Yeah,
fair to say that you were kind of like saying like
yeah,
your why, your
absolutely,
intention of what you do? Yeah.
absolutely.
So I love that. And then I think like I'm trying to be like brutally honest. If I were to come back and listen to this, I think this would help me if I were trying to start all over again.
Yeah,
Like at
yeah,
least like doing personal brand from scratch because now
yeah.
like there's at least something to try versus what I think I should do based off what everybody else is doing. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right.
Um,
Because you
but
are only you. You are one of one, and sure, finding an example and finding inspiration in other people is wonderful, and we all do it. But if you try to copy someone else exactly, if you try to do something specifically, it's not. You can replicate things, but people will tell easily that that didn't come from a place that was genuine and authentic. And I think that's the most
hmm
important thing for doing business with people is showing up genuinely and not doing things as a gimmick. And it's
right.
very obvious when you're trying to sell something versus when you are trying to communicate the story of something that resonates in a way that people purchase it, use your service, use your time. That that's how that flows through to reach someone. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm
Yeah.
so glad. This is my
Thanks.
first ever podcast actually. So
Oh yeah. Oh nice. Awesome. Well, I'm
yes.
excited. You know what they say,
Yes.
you never forget your first. Just
You
kidding.
never forget your first.
Oh, is that not what they say that for? Okay, my bad.
That is
I'm just kidding.
I love it.
One more time, where can people find you? And
Yes,
then
yes. So I am on Instagram at Jordan Tara, but I spell it JordanTaraa, though Tara only has one A in my actual legal name. I am on YouTube as Behind the Blades, where I talk about my life and, like I said, the realness of what being a human looks like, and then showing up on my Instagram in a way that people might look at that and go, wow, I didn't realize that she might be going through that. So Behind the Blades is a true look behind the skates and all I'm doing there. I'm on LinkedIn, as we talked about. I'm Tara Parker on LinkedIn. And yeah, I'm expanding my platforms, and I just started my own business myself, and I'll have some platforms to plug for that soon. But it's called
nice.
Magical Movements, and
Oh
look
yeah.
out for some future magical movements from that.
Yes, I'm excited. Well, thank you very
Yes.
much.
Thank
We
you
need to do
so
this
much.
again
Yes.
soon. And
Yes.
thanks.
I appreciate your time. Take care.